It is still very early, 11 months before the 2026 election, but a new poll gives Ohio Democrats hope and Republicans pause. The Emerson College poll shows Ohio's two top Democratic candidates improving their positions since the summer. Amy Acton has gone from 10 points down in August to tied with Vivek Ramaswamy in the race for governor. 9% remain undecided in that race. In the contest for U.S. Senate, Jon Husted has a 3-point lead over Sherrod Brown. Brown has improved slightly since August, but that race remains pretty much the same. The poll found the economy remains topic number one for Ohioans. Half of Ohioans surveyed like the job President Trump is doing, half do not. And Governor DeWine's approval rating is falling pretty fast, and it's kind of low. Mark Weaver, first, you've seen a lot of polls. It is early. Is there anything in this poll that should give Republicans worry or concern?
Yeah, I looked at the poll. As you mentioned, I've read thousands of polls. I looked under the hood. I looked at the basic crosstabs of the poll. There's a couple things jumped out at me. Number one, Amy Acton is not very well known. Neither is Vivek Ramaswamy. They both have a lot of room to grow. Number two, Sherrod Brown is extremely well known, much better known than Jon Husted, yet he's still trailing Jon Husted. Sherrod Brown should have been performing much better for somebody who has been in office in Ohio almost the entirety of the last 50 years. That's a sign that Jon Husted almost certainly is going to win that race. Vivek is going to have to make his case and show people who he is. A lot of people don't know who he is yet.
Is he going to have to make his case to Republicans because his unfavorable ratings among Republicans seemed a bit high? It was in the over 40% range, between slightly unfavorable and very unfavorable.
Yeah, and that's among those who have opinions. Another thing about this poll is it was of all voters, not of likely voters. Political pros tend to look at the polls of likely voters with a little more credibility.
But still some concern there that he hasn't convinced Republicans
yet? I think he has a case to make. I mean, it's a statistical tie. We're in a Republican state largely, but we can't coast on that. He's going to have to make his case, and he's got a much better case to make than Amy Acton does.
Is Amy Acton's 10-point increase, Joe, is that just because she's consolidating support because Tim Ryan, the former congressman, has decided not to run?
Yes, in part. But in addition to that, I think people are beginning to know her a little more, and Mark's correct. I think that folks remember her back from the COVID crisis, but not necessarily has seen her as a chief executive, as somebody that is likely to run the state. What comes through in these times that personality seems to be a prevalent issue is that she is a decent, nice person, and can be, of course, a good chief executive if surrounded by individuals that know where things are and would make a good one. But don't forget a couple of other things here. There does seem to be a bluing of the voters going into 2026. And in addition to that, that Ramaswamy may be having some troubles from the right because of some statements that he has made concerning H-1B visas and other things.
Andrew, what do you take away from this poll?
Well, it struck me that both Democrats are at 46% because they have to get to 50 to win, more or less, and they're basically at the same number. And so we saw last year that race was polling really tightly going up to it, and Marino won 50 to 47 or something like that. There was a third-party candidate who drew some votes as well. So this is shaping up where if Democrats are going to win, they're going to have to squeak in because unless they can really dramatically improve their numbers.
President Trump's approval rating here in Ohio is significantly better than it is nationally. Why do you think that is, Mark?
Well, this is a state that has supported him every time he's run for president. We know that he has a low floor and a high floor and a low ceiling. He tends to stay right in the low to mid 40s. He'll rarely ever get past that. We're a divided country. We're a divided state. And I think by and large, this is a red state that likes what Trump is doing, only slightly a majority. I think if he were to run again, he can't, but if he were, I think he would win Ohio again.
Joe, a clear majority of voters in Ohio say mass deportation of undocumented immigrants is a good thing.
53%.
We haven't had the scenes that Chicago has had or Los Angeles has had. Where do you think that's coming from?
Yeah, and I was actually very, very surprised that was the case, because as I see people on the street and I, see elected officials and judges and so on, you don't get the impression that there is that type of sentiment that is prevalent or that is strong in the state of Ohio with respect to immigration, with respect to deportation. So that was a surprise to me. But at the same time, that is also what is saving us, because the administration is addressing this deportation thing like a reality show. And it's sending troops in uniform, one might say in drag, to a variety of cities that happen to be Democrat-controlled city. And although we were a Democrat-controlled city, we don't have the visibility of a Los Angeles. We don't have the pushback of a Chicago, or the intellectual
or Democratic
debate
governor like Illinois and
Boston,
California.
let's say. So that's my impression on that. That's kind of saving us, and we're not seeing the dynamic deportation.
To be clear, the uniforms of federal law enforcement and National Guard have nothing to do with people wearing in drag. This question was written in such a way that should have gotten a much bigger result on the side of people who don't want to see the deportation. Had it been written, should federal law be enforced that you can't be in this country illegally, it would have been 70-30. And that's the heart of this issue. People who don't like the fact that we're deporting people should go to Congress, get the law changed, and then they can get what they want. But the law currently passed by Congress is you're not allowed to be in this country if you're illegal.
And we've been trying since 2006 to do just that. I don't know if you remember the Kennedy-McCain bill, which was supposed, because, deporting people isn't the only option here. Back in 2006, 64% of self-identified conservatives felt that what we should have is a route, is a path to citizenship.
But Congress
for
didn't
the
pass it,
American, and Congress did not pass it.
So that's not the law.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So the law is they have to
course.
leave, and if we had polled it that way, it would have been 70-30.
But why?
But then- but what do you
If
get
it
from
is
that?
70-30, why don't we fix it? Why doesn't Congress fix it? If so many people want to fix this
Having advised a couple
problem.
of dozen members of Congress in my career, they know polls better than anybody else, and they will do what they think their people want them to do. And the fact that they haven't, and the fact that you can't get a supermajority in the Senate, our system is designed that you have to have a lot of people behind an issue in order for it to pass. And there is not a majority.
And that actually happened to John McCain. John McCain, although sponsored of the bill,
Mickey
when he
Cantor.
went back home, he came back and he says, I had no idea that I had this kind of opposition
Mickey Cantor lost his seat because
in
of it.
Arizona.